I have been contacted by email by several people coming from the industry, consultancy, utilities, and also some students that they are working with close to realistic power systems or real power systems. And one of the situation is that they want to simplify or they want to delete some elements from the single line diagram. So the first thing that you must remember is that the single line diagram inside the DIgSILENT PowerFactory is a graph object. It's a graphic object where we can draw all the power components, but those graphical objects, they are connected with the data that is located inside the database. In other words, we must understand that there is graphic objects and there are electrical data that is connected inside the database. So if you look over here, I am using a real power system. To be honest, I am using this is the electrical system from a very interesting and amazing country in South America that is called Peru. Peru has a relative large electrical power system, and this electrical power system is modeled using by DIgSILENT PowerFactory. And there is an institution that is called the COES, C-O-E-S, and that is the initial for the operator in the transmission system at Peru. And COES, I will use the pronunciation in Spanish, COES, they offer the full power system, the whole power system model using DIgSILENT PowerFactory. You can download that model for free from the website from the COES in Peru. Well, as you can see, this is a real power system and there are many components over here. Using here the network model manager, using here the network model manager, you can see that this system has around 252 objects representing substation in this system. And if you go into the number of bus bars, this is a relative large power system. We are talking about 2,284 objects representing bus bars, okay? Of course, the number of bus bars active depends on the scenario that you are considering over here, because as you can see that there are 10 years statements over here. We have 2026 up to 2036, okay? From the graphical point of view, you can see here in the graphical area, there is a single line diagram, and this single line diagram is representing the main transmission system, and they call this the CIN. That is basically the Spanish phrase for the interconnected transmission system. But also there is single line diagram for the north. There is a single line diagram for the center area. There is also a single line diagram for the south. And finally, here there is one specific single line diagram for a very important area that is Lima. You must remember that Lima is the name of the capital city of Peru. So basically, let me go back here to the transmission system, okay? If you look into the transmission system, let me show you here. This is the transmission system. And let me run a load flow here. And we can run here a load flow, okay? So imagine that we want to, let's see here in this single line diagram. As you can see, let me see, this is one of the substation. This substation have the name Huayacachi in 220 kV. Imagine that we want to delete this, that is the transmission line and also the substation or Orco Tuna 220 kV, okay? So the very simple way to do it is basically, well, you need to unfreeze the single line diagram, and after unfreezing the single line diagram, you can use the right button, and this context menu will appear, and there are two options here for delete. If you take the first one that say only delete, what you are doing is deleting the whole graphical and data object. So in other words, if you take this option that say delete, what you are doing is completely deleting this object, these electrical devices from the database and also from the single line diagram. However, if you want to delete just the graphic object in this specific single line diagram, what you need to do is basically selecting here the delete graphic object only, okay? To demonstrate the process, you can see that I run the load flow, and after running the load flow, you can see that this transmission line between Campo Armiño and Huayacachi, the loading is 41.04%. So what I will do is right button here in this selection, I will delete, and PowerFactory is telling me, are you sure that you want to delete the graphic data, but the associate grid data of these objects will not be deleted? In other words, this data will stay inside the database, but the graphical objects in this single line diagram will disappear. So I will say yes, and let me run again a load flow, and by running the load flow, you can see right now that in this case, you can see that the loading is still 41.04%, and that means that the data of the remaining components inside the database, they were included into the calculations, but the graphical objects are not represented over here. So with this video, let me go back here, and I will use this undo button, and with the undo button, what I am doing is coming back to the original situation, okay? So this video, as you can see, was extremely simple. If you are in a consultancy company, if you are in the field, if you are advanced user, probably this video is not for you. But if you are interested on learning how to work with large and real power system, so probably you are interested on this video. So this is the end for now. And I would like to tell you, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you at the next one. And only I need to say bye now.